Welcome to the Tech Journeys podcast. I'm your host, Vincent, and in this podcast, I interview people in tech. As always, this show is sponsored by the Consulting Launch Method, where I help experienced tech professionals build their own consulting business without spending years figuring out the business side. We help clients go from their first idea to first client in 90 days and within, to six figures within a year. To learn more, connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message. On today's show, we have our guest, Arabella Bown, and she is the lead product manager at Hyland, and her focus really is to lead the product strategy for the Alfresco's front-end governance and process portfolio, driving modernization, customer value, and a clear roadmap, transitions while aligning engineering, leadership, and customers around outcome-focused delivery. So that was sounds very compelling right there, Arabella. So
I think when you say the lead, that may be exaggerating. I am a lead there.
all good. But you are a lead, so and it's good to see. But looking back at your career, what has been the decision or the project that you're most proud of, and what made it stand out for you?
Well, I guess originally, there's a few things I guess throughout my career, but I actually started as a commercial lawyer, and I did that for about 5 years or so, but can be a bit dull and sort of mixture of dull and stressful. So the law firm that I was working for set up a kind of IT business. I mean, we're talking quite a long time ago. They decided that the kind of law was going two ways, either kind of very highly kind of difficult and complicated, or kind of the basic stuff, and the basic stuff could be automated, and that was to do with updating legal documents. So I went into my senior partner and said, can I get involved in this new business? This sounds much more interesting, basically. Yeah. So it's kind of how I got into IT at the start, because I don't have that IT background. And so I guess I worked with he employed an MD, and I worked with his MD, and I worked with a developer, and we set up this little business. We had all these documents, and we made them smart. So that was the first time I worked with a developer, and I also kind of employed all the sales staff and things like that as well, and wrote blogs and everything. But I think from nothing to that was a starting point. I mean, I think after that, going forward, I was then in legal technology, kind of after a few children and different things. I was in legal technology, generally small businesses, and one of those businesses, again, there was a kind of a bit of an upheaval in the management, and so it was kind of ended up with me in the startup. And what we had really was a demo solution, and again, I kind of worked with developers again and transformed this into a saleable solution. So that was again, I hadn't it was sort of not so structured. So when I came to Hyland, I've generally worked in small businesses where you kind of left to get on with it and do it, which has pros and cons. So I think, again, the thing I'm proud of is when at Hyland was what I originally was just for the process solution for Alfresco. My remit has broadened since then, but originally was with that, and that was a very much legacy solution where they were struggling to get customers to upgrade from version 1 to version 2. And I think over the few years we've really modernized it. We've improved the performance of that. I'm just about to do a huge, completely new UI on it. We're adding MCP, where we're bringing it into this century basically. Yeah. So I'm also proud of that too. So I'll give you 3 examples then rather than 1, but there you go. That kind of felt like I don't want to just go from where I started, because then that'd be the rest of it was nothing. So,
clearly, the all 3 that you're proud of, all 3 of them, right? So it makes makes a lot of sense. And is there which one of those did you feel you actually learned the most, in terms of business or in terms of technology?
Well, all in different ways, really. I mean, I had no knowledge of IT when I started, and really we're talking a long time ago, so it was all kind of quite basic as well. And then I didn't have knowledge of kind of completely rewriting software with a developer. And then when I came to Hyland, I didn't have kind of that knowledge of working in big teams really, or, you know, with kind of Jiras and all the projects and running, you know, quite in the same way, that kind of engineering teams and all that. So I kind of learned, I think you just have to, that's, you know, I'm quite, you know, I've been around a while now. So I think actually the important thing is to learn with everything you do, isn't it? Just keep learning. You're
Yeah.
never too old to keep learning.
Learn and adapt, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, is there anything, if you look back, right, obviously you have your career. If you were starting your career again, and you know, normally in many cases I speak to people that have solely worked in tech. In your case, it's slightly different, but yeah, if you would go back, you know, to your early, you know, version of Arabella, and knowing what you know now with all the changes in tech, right, and maybe also the way organizations work and operate, you know, what's the one thing you would do differently?
Well, I don't know. It's so much differently. I think you have to be on the crest of the wave generally. You know, technology, if you can be, is not always possible. I haven't always been there. Um, but it's about adaptability, and I think I have adapted well. But probably one thing, you know, I've changed careers and all sorts of things, so I
Yeah.
have been very adaptable. So I think that is very important, and everything is changing so fast now. But I think maybe the thing that I would do differently is perhaps have a bit more confidence in what I can do. I'm in a technology world, but I don't have a technology background. And sometimes you can feel a bit threatened by that. But
Mhm.
generally, you work in a team, and what you bring is actually equally important. You know, I have kind of commercial business understanding, you know, background. So that brings something else rather than, you know, the technology. So I think working in a team, you all have value. And so not to be, you know, not to be worried about that you can't do it, you can do it,
Yeah.
basically. And I think
I,
that's sometimes a female trait as well, isn't it?
I wouldn't dare to say, but is there, I mean, do you feel that that has held you back at some point in your career, or?
Yeah, I think lack of confidence, you can kind of worry that as I'm in technology and I don't, you know, I haven't been a programmer or, you know, I would say most of the product managers that I work with have been, they've done kind of computer science or they've done programming or that kind of background, which is obviously not my background. But then I add different things. I probably network much more. I learn from lots of people. I bring a different perspective.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, it's sort of interesting, just reflecting on also my career, is that a lot of people in tech are very good at tech, but not necessarily good at numbers or
Yeah,
commercials and things like this. And
yeah.
I naturally gravitated to that with my background, but we digress a little bit.
That's
Uh,
fine.
so looking forward then in terms of, you know, your career, or you know, what does really the next chapter look like for you? You know, so
Well, at the moment, I have this rather scary book, and I'm studying for the AI governance professional kind of. I've only just started that, so I don't ask me any lots of technical questions yet. But I kind of feel that that's important. You know, obviously everyone's talking about AI and where it's all going, and it's moving, you know, just so extremely fast. And I think that kind of taking that step back and going, actually, you know, is it all properly in place? And probably with the ECM, we're all about governance and all the rest of it with your data before you start with your AI. And I hope that I'm kind of uniquely placed for having a product and a legal background to be in that kind of governance space. So I'm sort of thinking I can make a little niche for myself in Hyland or whatever with that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking
yeah.
at the moment.
And is there a demand for that within Highland for that kind of?
Well, we have you know, a governance, I mean, an AI council and things. I'm not on that, but I raised it up with my manager, and they said, "Oh, yes, that would be really interesting and really good to do." So I think everything's evolving, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
so it's that level of maturity in all organizations. So I I I, I don't think it's a bad thing to have anyway, if I can do it.
Absolutely not. I mean, do you have a perspective on how, you know, AI and you know, AI governance and what the role AI will play in in business in Hyland or
Well,
in
obviously,
general?
it's huge in Hyland because as an enterprise content platform, AI is all about the quality of the data that you put in. So if you don't put quality data in, you don't get quality out, and that's even more so. And then you have that, obviously, it doesn't just read content, it generates new things. So it's kind of more and more important. But I'm interested also in the ethical side of it, actually, should we be doing it, and all those kind of questions as well. And
Yeah.
I think sometimes big technology, not necessarily, they say they're thinking about, I don't know if they are thinking that too, but how far should we be doing some of the things that we're doing, I think is an interesting question as well. But
Yeah.
yes, obviously it's huge in Hyland. We're sort of across the board with all our solutions. We're integrating with all the kind of AI stuff that we're building in Hyland, and across others as well.
And I mean, it's interesting your point. You mentioned ethical AI. That's obviously a big topic, but I mean, is it something that you feel that's something you want to kind of focus on yourself, or is it more broad?
I don't know where I find it interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't know where, one step at a time. I'll learn this kind of about the AI governance and things first, and then maybe, I do find it interesting because I think it's very important, but
Yeah.
how we use AI, but whether what amount of influence I can ever have on it, I don't know. But there we go.
Yeah, fair enough. That is the case. I mean, it's obviously, I think famously, or Anthropic didn't take the US government project just because they didn't want them to use
No.
their tech. So, and they turned down a lot of money, but yeah,
No, I
and
think I don't think there is all altruistic, is it there? I'm not sure.
I don't think so either. Yeah, so yeah, no, I think there's definitely an element of boasting going on between big CEOs there. So fantastic. Now, is there a way for people to get in touch with you after the podcast? What's the best way?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I can put your LinkedIn profile down below in the description.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Arabella, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. And as a reminder for everyone listening, the show is sponsored by the Consulting Launch Method, where I help experienced tech professionals build their own consulting business without spending years to figure out the business side. And we've helped clients go from first idea to first clients in 90 days and 6 figures within a year. So to learn more, connect with me on LinkedIn and send me a message. Until the next episode. Thank you. Thanks, Arabella.
Thank you, Vincent.